You've gone to government in the U.S. To address some issues such as net neutrality and tech-friendly policies. I don't know what you've done here in Canada, but what do you see there in terms of what government's not doing in those two particular cases?
Well, we've just appointed a new CTO in the United States, and whether that person ends up working through the bureaucracy with the CIO that was appointed earlier, or whether that person ends up really being a voice for the North American or for the U.S. global IT space will be really interesting to see. I think the government needs to do, first and foremost, they need to assure free trade. Free trade is crucial to the IT industry, and there's some industries outside the U.S., as the slowdown has been here, really getting hurt, in Taiwan and others that supply product to the U.S. market. So we need to ensure a steady supply. So continue to do that. But I think as it relates to the small business person, and most of the companies in the IT industry are small businesses in terms of sheer numbers. And I think they probably could have done a little bit more on the tax incentive side to help small businesses through this recession. And also talking about the stimulus plan, billions of dollars at play in the US for companies. And the ability for them to access those has been tough. I mean, the RFPs that come out from these for small companies to bid, these are 5-inch thick projects. And it makes it very difficult for one individual company to be able to access that. And all the business ends up going to some of the larger entities. So we're looking for ways to try to do some matchmaking there to identify opportunities, primarily from healthcare and from broadband spending. But the government could make those opportunities and maybe even do some set-asides for some small business.
Comptia, back in early January, publicly supported the U.S. stimulus package, and I believe you did the same thing here in Canada. After one quarter, have we made any headway in the marketplace?
Well, it's difficult to say. The money has just really started going out in the last few weeks, and we'll see what impact that has. A lot of the dollars flow later in this year and into next year. Doctors' offices making changes in the U.S. for electronic records upgrades. Those dollars have to be spent really within the next 18 months, over the next year and a half of fiscal year. The dollars that are available for broadband and for some of the employment dollars really don't start to flow until later. So I'm not sure we have seen an impact from it. I think the impact has really been felt more from the stabilization of the financial market. And as we've seen Mr. Geithner and Mr. Bernanke get on TV and talk about some of the things, and we've seen the market not go through quite as much of the gyrations that it did based on some of their earlier comments. But really that's the key thing, was stabilization of that, because access to credit for small companies was key. A lot of small businesses were operating on very thin margins, running very lean, and their access to local commercial credit was really important.
Comptia has organized a special committee to address the channel financing issues that we have today. Where are you on that currently?
Well, we've just started going out to identify individuals who can serve on that. It's really a special interest group in the sense that in the past, Comptia did have a committee that looked at finance issues to try to bring best practices and also this access to capital. So in combination with this finance committee, which will be comprised of companies of all sizes, but primarily smaller companies, to identify what are they doing and what are the best practices for them to get access to credit and to be able to run their businesses. In addition, we're also building a toolkit that we have someone working together with us on to build a toolkit that talks about how businesses can help identify the credit worthiness of their customers. When someone comes to you and says, I can't pay you on 30 net terms anymore, I'm going to pay you on 90 net terms, what does that mean for your business? And how can you really identify how that affects your bottom line? So I think we're going to roll that out in a fall regional program of one-day conferences and try to educate our members on that, make it available online through our website.
You told our sister publication, CIO Magazine, that there are about 200 to 300,000 good-paying IT jobs available in the marketplace. But these numbers lead to me to be a little bit of a mystery because there's also been thousands of layoffs at companies such as Nortel, Microsoft, and IBM. Do you think there's a disconnect there?
Well, in that interview that we talked about, the people who were losing their jobs in the high-profile companies were tending to be people in administrative functions, financial functions, some logistic functions. They certainly weren't getting rid of any of their really high-skilled IT talent. We were at Microsoft just yesterday, and they were filling up 2 new buildings with highly skilled IT workers. So even Microsoft, who trimmed a little bit off the bottom, I think, somewhere in their different, in the staffing there. But the disconnect is the number of people out there looking, because actually we're tracking about 400,000 jobs in the North American market, or in US market, for openings for IT, but the number of people who are clicking on them, the ratio of the two has changed dramatically. Last year at this time we may have had 700,000 jobs, and the clicks on those jobs may have been in the mid 5 millions. Today you have 400,000 jobs, but you have clicks that are approaching 10 million per month. So you have a lot of people out there searching for those jobs. But I think that those high-profile layoffs, and the same thing with other industries, tended to be trimming operations, trimming marketing people, maybe some finance people, operations, logistics, but not their highly skilled people. I think we're going to see the same kind of shortage of really highly skilled people as we see the upturn in the economy.